1, 2, 3. Ooh, let's go. Hello and welcome into the Section 109 podcast. From Matthew looking around like he's very confused, we're here to talk a little MLS Next Pro.
What the fuck happened to our intro?
You don't have your headphones on. This is all staying.
Oh, that's absolutely staying. You guys, if you're watching on video, if you're not watching on video, I encourage you to check out the video just so you can see the surprise and shock and terror on Matthew's face.
Motherfucker, I'm trying to put together a show doc here.
Subscribe and like the video
for
and,
sure.
Everything while you're there.
If you're here for your first time watching it and you see it just to see Matthew's face, throw a thumbs up and maybe a little comment so we can know. There's nothing more fun in the Section 109 podcast universe than just making fun of Matthew. Yep. But we're not only here to make fun of Matthew. I'm Breezy. Jay is here.
Can my lower third go right here?
It absolutely can. It's going to go right there. Ellie.
How's it going?
I can't do much with that. That lower third. Bobble Juan and Matthew, who has made a wonderful show doc and clearly hadn't finished, but he's finishing on the fly.
Just adding new things. We're getting questions right up until showtime here.
Well, friends, we are here to talk about MLS Next Pro. That is the big news. Chattanooga Football Club joining MLS. First off, it is not the big MLS. Just to get that out of the way. But after that, I want to kind of like we do for a.
It kind of is. Like, we've played Atlanta United on the road in a major competition, and it was at Fifth Third Bank Stadium in Kennesaw, Georgia, and we'll play Atlanta United in this league at Fifth Third Bank Stadium in Kennesaw, Georgia. So it's basically the same thing.
Well, you make a point there. You make a good point there.
Does he?
I just was going to say that these MLS teams are scurred. So FC Dallas and Atlanta United, both of whom can only draw us. I guess they didn't want to play. They want to send their two teams. That's okay. They're scared. But friends, how are you guys feeling? Similar to how when we review a game, let's get the vibe check. How are we feeling? MLS Next Pro.
I'm stoked. I enjoyed the event. I only got to go for a little bit of time, but it could have been an event that was just an announcement, but I felt like the club went above and beyond to get everybody's opinion from the people from MLS that were here speaking and also taking part in the announcement as well, from Rod and Tim and other important figures in the club, seeing their excitement about what this all could mean. And then, of course, I am the largest speculator about any sort of growth in anything that we get into. So I'm excited. I think if you had asked me if I wanted to do this a year ago, I wouldn't know what my answer would have been. But that doesn't matter because we're here now and we're doing what's best for the club, and that's the most important thing.
Hell yeah, Ellie, how are you feeling?
I'm excited for it. I mean, I was excited that they brought the community in for this. It wasn't just like, hey, we're doing this thing. It was like,
here's an announcement on social media.
Yeah, like, hey guys, let's all go to this event. Let's all celebrate together. Like, let's all come together. And like, we all love the team and we're trying to do what's best. And we want you guys to come along for the ride instead of just surprise, like, new league, figure it out.
Exactly. It really felt like the core and the heart of CFC, the soul of CFC remained intact through that.
Yeah.
Did you tear up a little when Tim almost teared up?
No. No, but like I did get emotional. I was also sitting next to
the video is where I was like starting to feel feelings.
Yeah. The video made feelings happen. I got there like 5 minutes late to the like the 2:00 the press announcement thing, and so I missed the opening video, which is probably good. It kept my emotions a little bit more in check. But then I was sitting between two people who I didn't know, and I really wanted to talk shit in my text messages, but I couldn't because I was sitting next to two people I didn't know, so I didn't know who they were or what they might. So I had to be like, anyway, I was fighting the demons because when something's happening, you're like, you got something to say to you're I couldn't in the group chat, and I could see people, Matthew being one, friend of the podcast, Jamian, who's not been on the podcast, but we need to get on soon, supporter rep Jamian. I could see him. Anyway, I wanted to talk some shit, but I couldn't do it. So like that, and that was a wonderful part of the thing, was like sharing it with people that I love, and sharing fun moments, sharing exciting moments, and like, look, Alton like actually tearing up was not wonderful, and like a it's cool to see how much it meant to him. I thought MLS handled it well, and that was not a given. So, you never know. This is their first big independent club. Fuck off Jacksonville Armada. But like, this is the first actual big club they've had in. So.
I hope someone from down there is listening. Be like, oh shit! Like you just wait a year, we come in.
Yeah, well,
some fighting words.
Well, we can
Let's
talk.
go.
We can talk in a year when your team exists again.
I'm excited for that.
I am too, but call me in a year. Like, what's the fucking point of announcing now? I don't know. Just whatever. Hurry up and get your shit done, Jacksonville. But back to Chattanooga Football Club.
You said something. You said the MLS,
Soccer Wars.
the way that they handled it was good, and that gave me a really calm sense of confidence in where I want them to go, and what I want their overall idea and like what they want to achieve. Like I feel like it could be going.
I felt a sense of professionalism that I've never felt from NISA, and it's the first. I know it's the first thing ever.
It was stunningly professional.
Awesome.
Actually, it wasn't at all stunningly professional. We're just so used to fucking NISA being.
It might just be garden variety professional, but like coming from NISA, it was stunningly professional.
So I'm not saying it wasn't good. It was good. I'm just saying I would expect that from MLS and from. And so one of the things I've always, and we can get into at some point if we want, talk about like doubts or questions or whatever else. And I will continue to wonder, is MLS going to take this seriously? Are they going to take this league seriously? It's a third division. It's their reserve league. But with this announcement, and this doesn't like clear up everything for me, but it was a nice like gesture to show like, hey, at least for today, we are taking this very seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they've got to take it seriously at this point, right? I mean, with NISA crumbling, there's only 2 lower league soccer like organizations left. If they don't take this seriously, what's going to happen when USL crumbles and they're all that's left? Like they've got to.
I think that's the goal,
right?
If we're being honest,
right?
Well done, Matt.
I think I would take it slightly different. This what you said, but also I think it would be like if they want to be the league left standing.
Yeah.
They have to take it seriously. Otherwise, USL will be the league left standing, which is crazy. But like, MLS can still mess this up. That being said, I'm not suggesting MLS is going to mess it up. Like, we're just new. Like, they've had one independent team before us, Rochester. They had one that announced before us, the Carolina Core. But we'll be
Jacksonville and Cleveland.
Jacksonville doesn't count. They're not kicking a ball in MLS before us, and Cleveland has never existed before. So again, they don't count. There's some real expectations now, starting with us, that have not been on the league before now. There hasn't been fans to be angry on the internet or in person with them before. And there are now. And
they're
like,
about to catch these hands on this whole graphic design thing.
Oh boy, I got it marked down in here.
Okay,
and so like, we need to talk about some other things and not get too serious into like the negative so far.
Yeah,
but
totally.
It was a really, really big day. It was a really good day, and I felt very, very, very positive and reinvigorated coming out of it. Matthew, how did you feel?
I'm incredibly happy to be out of an incompetent criminal organization that is NISA.
Who?
I can't stress that enough. Right? I think it was really good that you said this before, I think, to someone from MLS Next Pro, and I know that Tim said it as well, that we're going to make the league better, and that like it's a huge moment for the league because it's us.
Bingo. It is a huge
And
moment
like
for us.
and it's a big deal for us in general, right? Like Next Pro is not the darling independent soccer league that we all wanted.
And
right?
maybe ideologically would be more aligned with.
Yeah, and like, I think it's fair to say that USL probably fits those independent values today better than anything that's in existence, right? Like, we weren't pissed at Detroit because Detroit went to USL Championship. That was the right move for Detroit.
For sure.
They had to go.
I haven't heard you say Detroit in a while.
Like they had to leave.
He's not
just
gonna
like
say Detroit. We're not gonna honor them by saying their name right.
Like we had
our neighbors to the north.
We had to move, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
It was
And
the right decision.
And although I think USL probably makes more sense in 2024 for CFC, obviously there's some issues that make it not as easy as switching as we would want to.
Well,
but I think MLS Next Pro is going to
be difficult.
Is going to be the league for CFC of 2026 and 2036 and 2046. Because I believe Next Pro will be the surviving league. I believe MLS in general will be the controlling entity of soccer in this country. And while that's not necessarily the most idealistic thing that I can think of, that's just fucking reality. And this is one of the... We've always been an optimistic club. We've always been a club that had ideals and wanted to strive for them. And this is one of the first times we've had to accept reality that we can't tweet our way into soccer being something different than it is. And if we... And nowhere in our fucking mission statement does it say that we're going to change American soccer for the better with pro-rel and puppies and kittens and bunnies, right? It says we're going to use soccer as a tool to better our community across creed, race, socioeconomic status, and maybe something else.
Breezy, you need to clip that.
Right? So, like, we have to do the damn
bunnies
thing.
and kitties and dogs and puppies.
We have to do the damn thing. And this is the way to do the damn thing.
Yeah.
And look, we're actually blazing a trail here to add on to what you're saying.
Absolutely.
One thing, CFC has done two things. We have been steadfast in independent soccer. And by the way, we are still independent. For anyone wondering, we're not affiliated with anybody else. We are still CFC by Chattanooga for Chattanooga. CFC, Chattanooga Football Club. We are no longer part of an independent league, quote unquote, that is doing independent soccer, that wants to do pro-rel, that's saying all these things. Okay, ideologically, we may have shifted to some reality, which Matthew just said. But we have always, as part of that, while being on the ideologically, like, quote unquote, pure soccer purity, whatever, Twitter side of it, we've also always been trailblazers.
Yeah,
we've done the thing first. We've blazed the trail. We've had visionaries. And look, this is a visionary step. Hopefully it is the right one. I think we all believe it is. But what we have done here is we've staked our flag early.
As always. We're the ones doing the damn thing first.
And 5 to 10 years from now, if Matthew's right and everybody's under the MLS umbrella, we will be, again, the team that did it first.
Yeah.
And
I'm not trying to toot our own horn. I'm just saying this is part of our ethos. It fits with our ethos of going and doing a thing early. We were in the NPSL early. We were one of the early clubs to have any support and do it right, do it well. We went to NISA pretty early, pretty early. We did our
second year of their existence, or third.
I mean, you could argue we joined in the second half of their first season.
Yeah.
We did a supporter owner raise before anybody else did. Everyone else said it's too hard, it's too expensive, we can't do it. Now look, fucking Orange County is doing it. Like, we have we inspired Detroit City to start a club because they looked at what Chattanooga did.
And they're not the only ones. There are a bunch of clubs that we inspired to start.
At Nashville and Atlanta, if they're honest, and Orlando, and Charlotte, and fucking Birmingham, and Memphis.
Throw out Florida, because Florida's not a part of the Southeast. We are the reason why Memphis 901 exists. We are the reason why Birmingham Legion exists. We're the reason why Atlanta United, Nashville SC, and really Nashville FC before that, we're the reason why Charlotte exists. Right? Like, Charlotte draws their move into MLS directly from Atlanta United, who draws their very existence from us.
Not because they looked at us and they said, we want to have soccer necessarily. They looked at us and they said, we can have soccer.
No one believed it was possible to have a successful team with fan support in the Southeast until CFC did it.
Why do you think Atlanta United played their inaugural game here? And this is a lot of us like blowing ourselves here, but like it is to point out, like, this is not us selling out to join MLS. Thank you, MLS. This is a good move for us, and this sets us with a platform to continue doing what we do, making Chattanooga better through soccer, right? And being more than a club and all the other things that make us help build parts or all of our lives around this. But also, MLS is fucking lucky here. They are getting just as much or more than we are getting out of this. This is a symbiotic relationship, which I'm very excited about. And let's talk about some specifics of it. But nobody that listens to this podcast needs to misinterpret this as us kowtowing or us joining a league because we have no other options. There's always other options. This is the best remaining option. This is the option we're choosing, and this is an option that makes us better.
And it's the best move. Unequivocally, throw USA on the table. It is the best move for the long-term future of CFC.
100%. And thank you to the board. Thank you to Davis. Thank you to everybody who made this happen. This is good. And like CFC's future is brighter than ever.
Yeah. 100%.
Absolutely.
Now let's talk about, before we go into unique rules, which is some of the things that I added to these. Matthew, I'm going to ask you a couple questions. Are we going to play more games? Because something you actually yelled, I had to turn you down on this podcast, was about only playing 24 games.
Yeah, so the Next Pro in 2023 played 28 games for the regular season, which I still don't think is enough, but it is more. And my hope is, as we get into the future and there are more teams in MLS Next Pro, that number will increase a little bit and get to 30 and hopefully a little bit north of 30. I think Next Pro is taking the approach of, number one, not adding. They don't want to go from like 28 all the way to like 34 immediately, right? MLS only plays 34 themselves. But one thing I do think that you'll see is they also don't want to have teams play each other 7 times in a season or anything like that.
Like we did with Flower City
Right.
seasons ago, or last season.
They're trying to limit it to
2 seasons ago now.
Well, if you look back at the East this year, just as an example, like everyone played everybody twice. And I think that was it. So like 28 games, boom, done. So it's my expectation it will be 28 games. It could be 30 games next year. I really don't know. Maybe we'll get a schedule at some point in time that's before March 1st.
Nisa could never.
Never. No.
Ellie, what's something you're excited about?
Oh goodness. I think I'm most excited for the new rules for the playoffs. For like picking a team. I just can see so much chaos coming out of that and so much joyful chaos that we can all have a lot of fun with. I think that's going to be interesting.
Let's talk about playoffs. I'm glad you went there.
Playoffs?
I just want to win a game. So, first of all, MLS Next Pro last year had an actual decision day where all the Eastern Conference teams played at 3 and all the Western Conference teams played at 5. There was only, because they had an odd number of teams, one team was left out. Cool. Awesome. The fact that they could get all their teams to play on the same day sounds like fucking miracle to me.
Yeah.
So that's very cool, first of all. So leading into the playoffs, a decision day. Imagine coming down to the final day and knowing that the Michigan Stars can't do shenanigans to throw a game to fuck things up.
The biggest thing is that they could all pay for it. That they could all pay to...
And have stadium availability?
Yeah.
And maybe pay their players and not have a game postponed into our stadium because someone didn't pay theirs. And then going into the playoffs, here's how it worked last year.
Stability is what that's called, but continue.
Yeah, 100%. Very, very weird. So I'll give you what it was last year. I expect it to remain the same. Playoff conference format, or playoff format by conference. So the top 7 in each conference, that might be adjusted to the top 8. I don't know after this year with adding a few teams, but the top 7 in the East and top 7 in the West made the playoffs. The top seed in 2023 got a bye. Seeds 2 and 3 in each conference got to pick their opponent. So 2 picked first, whoever they wanted to play and host. Then 3 got to pick whoever they wanted to play and host. And then the remaining 2 teams in each conference, the higher seed hosted, whoever was left over. So that was their first round. In round 2, the highest seed, the number 1 seed, so had we been in the playoffs this year in MLS Next Pro and won the league, we would have come in round 2. Then that in the second round, the first seed picks, and then it defaults to the highest seed after that for everybody. So the highest seed hosts, as far as I could tell, the highest seed hosts. And if there's nothing else, that is the tiebreaker, the higher seed hosts. And then after the second round of the playoffs, when you go to the championship game, it's just the higher seed that hosts, or sorry, not the championship game, the
conference finals.
The conference finals, thank you. The conference finals, the higher seed hosts, and then the MLS Cup, the higher seed hosts, or MLS Next Pro Cup, whatever the fuck they're going to call it. So this year, I believe Austin came in as the number 8. Am I remembering this correctly? SKC came in as the number 1.
Austin was the 6th seed.
Okay, so Austin was...
It was a 3-6 game. It was the first round of the playoffs.
So first round of the playoffs, SKC picks Austin. Austin wanted to win it all, by the way. And they lose to the team they picked playing at home.
And it was really interesting because SKC avoided taking St. Louis too. Which, like, adding some fun Kansas rivalry, or I guess Missouri rivalry going on. And, And like it sparked Austin's run to the final and ultimately to the championship. I think Benny Fellhauer's quote was, "Scared money don't make money." But
That's fun.
nobody made money, turns out.
That's
I haven't heard anybody talk about him in a long time.
I know. Shout
He's
out.
the head coach at Sporting too,
It's awesome.
based out of Lawrence, Kansas. Hey, Sporting Kansas City, just rebrand that damn team.
Yes, thank you. I was getting ready to figure out how to say that exact thing.
I get that you no longer play in Swope Park anymore for standards
That
and
was
everything.
so much better.
It was
Swope
it was
Park
fun.
Rangers was such a fun
It
name.
was fun.
Yes.
Just call them the Lawrence Rangers for all I care. You play in Jayhawk country, like whatever.
Jay, what do you think? We were the best in NISA. Where do you think we fit, and where we're going to fit, or do we even know?
But I was going to say, I think my answer would be I don't have a clue personally because I haven't watched very much MLS Next, which will bring me up. I'll bring up another question here in a little bit of how to do that. But yeah, I don't know where we would fit in, to be honest. I would hope, like with the pieces that I see us keeping currently of the players that are definitely coming back, I would feel confident in multiple leagues, but I'm not quite sure. How do you feel?
So I'll change your question around a tiny bit because I don't know either. I want a what would make you happy? First year of MLS Next Pro. It's a brand new league. We're coming in. What is the lowest position in our conference? Let's assume that there are 15 teams in our conference. I think that's going to be the right number, right? It's 15.
Yeah.
Let's assume there are 15. Playoff line. Let's pretend it's 7 again. It's probably going to be 8. I would guess for make it easy. But let's say it's 7 again. If playoff line's 7, there's 15 in each conference. Where finishing in what position or higher would be acceptable for you?
Well, if it's 7, then it's 7 or higher, and if it's 8, then it's 8 or higher.
Okay.
I think that's where I would want to shoot to have what I would consider to be a successful first run in a brand new situation.
Ellie?
I don't know. I mean, from my understanding, this league is mostly children. And having a team of not necessarily children going into this league, I kind of want us to do pretty well. Like, I'm not necessarily expecting us to be, like, top of everything first season, but, like, if we're walking into an academy kind of situation, we've got, we're playing a bunch of academies, like, I'm kind of hoping that we place pretty highly, like, top 4-ish. Like, I know that's probably big expectations, but, like, I don't know.
We're going gut. We're going gut
I love
ideas
your
here.
aspirations. Yeah. No, it's totally.
I think you see people say it's a league of only children because they don't actually know what they're talking about.
Yep.
There are children that play. There will be some children, and some of them will be
Don't forget that Charlotte team we played that hadn't played in MLS Next Pro.
right. Yeah, it didn't even exist yet.
But I'm just saying, like, that's a lot of people's only introduction in Chattanooga. My only introduction in Chattanooga to MLS Next Pro, was us playing them and them being literal children, plus Lenny.
An interesting thing of Next Pro is that, like, you can't just field a match day squad of 18 children
Anymore.
You never have been able to. A friendly game against a team that didn't exist yet does not count. Like, you have to have at least 11 signed professional Next Pro contracts.
Gotcha.
That is a group that exists.
What age do you have to be to sign a pro contract?
You can sign one as young as like 13.
I would
The Sac Republic player signed at like 13 or whatever.
I would suggest it's not impossible that we play 15 children.
It's just not likely. Teams don't activate pro contracts for no reason at that age.
Sure, they're not going to be 13, Matthew, but the fact that we might play a team that has mostly 17, 18, 19-year-olds as most of their core is not impossible.
No, but I think you'll be surprised about, like, the age gap. Like, the average age of players that were on Huntsville's roster by the end of the season with, like, actual squad numbers, like regulars, was like 22.9.
Matthew, Nashville doesn't have an academy, therefore Nashville 2 wasn't going to have any young players.
They did, though.
They don't, though.
They did, though.
They don't, though.
22.9 as an average is pretty low to me.
Yeah, I was going to say.
What was our average this year?
We probably were around 20 actual squad, probably 24 high.
So I agree that
I think it's going to shade younger.
I think it's,
but I don't think it's going to be like exclusively children.
I think
I think that's some USL talking points, and I think you should take those USL talking points and shove them up your ass.
so aggressive.
Fuck yeah. I'm on Matt's team.
He's still mad that we started the podcast without him. So I'm gonna guess it's gonna be a third with real pros, like mostly real pros and not many kids. A third kind of in the middle, which I think where we have some kids. Like we had this year with Damien and Hugo and a few other guys, or not Damien, sorry, Fabian and Hugo, and even past Damien. And then we had Gavin Castle, and we had Giuseppe last year, and like some younger players. And then, but we'll have a lot of pros, I think. I think we'll have a big mix. And then I think you will have about a third of the teams. This is just my own opinion. I think you'll have about a third of the teams. It will be mostly, they'll skew real young. Yep. They'll be, maybe they won't be 17 and 18, but there'll be a lot of 18, 19, 20-year-olds. And a lot of, like, their veterans will be, like, not playing as many minutes because they'll just be there. Or it will be a couple veterans and they'll be, like, coaching and whatever else.
I think
but that being said, I actually shade a little more towards Ellie's side. I agree the minimum acceptable standard is making the playoffs.
Yeah.
But I want a home game.
Okay.
Couldn't have said that one better myself. I want a home game in the playoffs,
which probably means
and I think it's going to be difficult.
I think it's if
like we can make fun of all these children all we want, but
correct.
like
they're going to be good.
Some of these motherfuckers are going to be really good, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And that's just and they're going to be kids, so they're going to be inconsistent, right? Mm-hmm. If you play too many kids at the same time, look, we saw this happen literally with ourselves. We had some children play at Apotheos, and you put them all on the same field at the same time, and it's not good when you play against grown men.
Let me also point out,
but like that's part of it. It's going to be inconsistent, probably. Some of the play will be a little inconsistent, and then like the teams, like Crown Legacy takes this thing seriously. A lot of like professional 22, 23, 24 kind of age guys to mix with their academy.
Yeah.
Their academy prospects. One of them is scoring goals in the U17 World Cup right now. Columbus Crew takes it very, very seriously. Those are your two best teams in the East. Cincinnati played a lot of children, and they were at the bottom of the Eastern Conference. Atlanta United plays a lot of children. They're at the bottom of the Eastern Conference.
That's pretty common for both those teams in MLS as well. Finishing at the bottom of the Eastern Conference.
I will say, though,
literally those Shield winners right there. That's such good slander.
Yeah, but not every year.
I mean, like
Cincinnati came
three
in and was
golden,
one of the worst.
No,
teams.
3 wooden spoons and a supporter shield. They win a trophy every damn year.
But if everyone doesn't know, the Wooden Spoon is the worst team in the league.
All I have to say is if you merge two talking points that we've had going on, which is one is that we may play a bunch of children, and two is like we're blazing a trail to sort of like create this foundation for this league, which is still in its infancy, of course. Two, we want that to become something that it isn't trajecting as currently or was trajecting before we joined. We want to lay a foundation for that more independent club feel and
teams that want to win
and teams that you do have a bit of youth that come in, but that doesn't make it up. And I think that's kind of how we're going to look.
They need the MLS reserve teams need the quality.
Yeah.
They need quality tests of opposition.
Yes.
Like they don't necessarily want to play against children every week.
Yeah.
Like a little children on children violence is fine, but like they got to eventually test themselves against grown men.
Totally.
Yeah. And not players that are just developing, but like players who are who they are.
So and that's basically what I was saying. Like if you take those 2 points and then you realize where that kind of gives you like almost a little bit of a guideline of like what we want to push through and past and sort of develop and shape this league into something that could feel much more independent. And like if they just take the 2 teams out. I've been holding that in this entire time. Just take the 2 teams out, please. Okay, anyways.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
they're all 2 teams.
Otherwise it's just us and Carolina playing each other 28 times. I think, just move them out of your city. Take over.
Hey, you don't even have to move them out of your city. I mean, literally just take the fucking
names.
2
the
off
names.
of the name. You can have the exact same setup. I'm not worried about that.
He
but
wants
I don't want
rebrands.
to play Columbus. I don't want to play Columbus Crew too.
Well, it's just Capybara FC. So
cool. Yeah, he doesn't.
I'd be down for that more than the fucking 2. Like
what I will say,
Lions.
if you want to get like your tinfoil hat craziness on, like
I'm down.
Just move. Please keep Cincinnati where it is at NKU because I personally want to go to Cincinnati and not Dayton, Ohio. But like, yeah, move Columbus to Dayton, Ohio, and like claim Dayton for yourself because you're hurting USL at the same time. That's all. That's what we know they want to do.
That is super tinfoil hat, and while I'm totally here for that, I legit mean, please
just change the name and nothing
take
else.
the fucking 2 off. That's all I care about. Sorry, you can keep them in the same place. Just do a little bit of branding, please, because that alone will go miles.
It will go
for the
miles.
league, miles. It will change it from like a, oh, that's what you guys play into. Oh, this league looks pretty freaking dope.
Yeah, nerds on Twitter will have opinions about this, and I'll just say they don't matter because they buy one ticket, whereas the masses don't really pay attention and they see something and they buy all the tickets.
Right.
Hell yeah. All right.
So take the 2
Let's shift here a little bit. I agree with you, Jay, by the way. Matthew, I want a quick answer on when will the season start, and then I want to pivot to ticket prices.
Season's going to start mid-March to late March, somewhere in there.
Fun.
Did you guys...
Slightly earlier than NISA did this season.
When does preseason start?
I
felt like I heard a J letter month
See,
said by
That would
someone.
be sweet.
I thought I heard December, January, and I
definitely
was
not December.
really
I heard
confused
January.
because that's really soon.
Definitely not
yeah.
December. If you think about it, we played Atlanta United was in the Champions League, so that game had to be early this season.
Yeah.
So it was played at the very, very end of January, and we were in camp for 2 weeks prior to that. We don't know our preseason schedule yet. It's not public. It may not be public for a while. My best guess is players will report in sometime in January, probably mid to the end, kind of like it was this year, and they'll start playing games, somewhere after.
It also just depends when the kickoff date is, right? They're going to end up trying to be in camp roughly 2 months.
Yeah, it's about an 8-week preseason is what you're looking for at this level.
But if we play super early...
6 to 8 weeks.
If we play super early in January, like we did last year, we'll come in early. If the start date for some reason gets pushed a little later, we'll come in a little later. So there's some flexibility there.
Gotcha.
All right, ticket sales. Not ticket sales, excuse me, ticket prices. There's been some ticket prices, and I think the internet has maybe seen some sticker prices and been a little shocked. Any thoughts? How we feeling? I think there's been some misunderstanding in the ticket prices. Did you guys look at them?
I mean, speak for yourself. I understood it.
Yeah, no, I personally saw value in it.
You've got supporter section tickets that went up for the club pass. If you're listening to this and you're thinking about like, do I buy a men's pass? Do I buy like a club pass? Like, just buy the club pass. It's like $20 extra. Just buy the club pass. Come to the women's games too, please. Side note, the supporter section tickets went up like what, $20, $25?
I think it's like $26, $23, something like that.
They added the cheapest option is to go to put yourself on the grass.
Which is cheaper than last season's season ticket, by the way.
Yeah, that's a really good option if you need to be price conscious.
If you don't like having a chair.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, but also that area is very family friendly.
For sure.
And
if you got little kids
buying the masses for tickets, yeah.
For sure. Well, and like, look, there are some people that like being over there and sitting on the grass. Like, cool. Like, get that cheaper ticket and hang out. You're next to the food truck. Like, there's
it's pretty. There's some.
I was about to say, watching a game with tacos with a sunset right behind it from that hill is not bad.
You've got the real interesting bit is where the kind of midfield club has changed the most. So like you can renew now, and this is only renewals. You can renew now in the midfield club for like $280, something like that, which is definitely an increase. Don't get me wrong. But maybe the more interesting bit is that there's now a midfield club all-inclusive option, which is mandatory if you're buying new season tickets. That comes with food every game in the Ultra Club, which is one of the big renovations that's happening at Finley Stadium this offseason.
Now, this is if you were in the chairback seats,
yes,
and you were buying a new season ticket, you do not have a cheap option anymore. So if you want those midfield seats, and I think this is where like people looked at that and said, "Oh my God, it's like $600." But you get unlimited food and non-alcoholic beverages in the Stadium Club, which is getting remodeled.
Right, and then you'll also get access, just like season tickets have the past couple of years, to discounted beer prices and discounted wine, high noon cocktail prices every match as well.
So when you say it's being renovated, is that the old like merch area?
The Stadium Club is going to look very different.
It is the merch area.
Yes, I've always thought, and this is just me, like having gone to the Delta Lounge at the Truist Park, being a big Braves
pretty
fan.
sweet.
They always have like if you had the two entrances, so people could like still go down that hallway, but if you cut that hallway and you do like a straight shot entrance out the middle one of the three, right out in there, and that's like the club only entrance.
to the main concourse or
Yeah.
whatever.
Or
No. He's
out
talking
to
about into the stands. So at Truist Field, you could just walk into the stands from the
lounge.
From the lounge.
I
Yeah.
was just thinking.
No, so one of the things they are
didn't know
doing,
if they were
I
doing
don't know if they're moving those back entrances. They are putting an entrance off the regular concourse on the other side, so you can come in from the front side, which is good.
Nice, yeah.
And then I don't know if they're changing those entrances or not. I did see mock-ups. They've got mock-ups for the Chattanooga ball. We were there. They have mock-ups out, and it looks sweet. There's going to be bathrooms in there. There's going to be a bar in there.
Awesome.
Like, it's going to be a much more VIP feel. And on non-CFC game days, will be much more usable as an event space.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that the chairbacks. I think this is going to end up applying for UTC and CFC. That when you're in chairbacks, you've got access to the Ultra Club for food.
So
an all-inclusive food option,
Two
which is really cool. A very grown-up club of us.
Two things that I think have been missed in here. Number one is if you're renewing your season ticket and you have chairbacks already, you're not getting pushed out of the chairbacks, and like you have a cheaper renewal price. It's less than half price. It's like $280.
Yeah.
So don't miss that part, because if you just click on the like new season ticket thing, you don't see that as an option, and you're like, "Fuck me, they're pushing me out." Like, it's not what's happening. On the flip side, there's also another option in 107 that is going to have like a removable stadium chair, so you can have a little back on your chair if you like stadium chairs. I've never sat in one. I still don't sit in Finley.
Yeah.
But like there is another option where you can get an assigned seat. You can get a little chair back that you bring with you, or maybe they keep it there for you. I don't know. I think they probably send you home with it. But there will be another like assigned seat section that's a good view part that is cheaper. So you can still get those with new season tickets.
I think they put it out and leave it for games.
What they do?
Like you don't take it home.
I don't know. Maybe not.
What they do for college football?
Yeah, I was getting ready to say.
Yeah, is they keep them in, I think, most of the season, and then at the end of the season, you take it home with you and you can keep it.
Or like at Georgia, like we return them. So like my parents have had season tickets forever, and so we have seat backs there. We got two of them. So they stay. Of course, that's a single use stadium, right?
Yeah.
So that's a whole different thing. But like, yeah, they're always there whenever you go. You don't bring them, and then there's like a return. You can buy them, I think, but I think there's just like a return thing. Or they'll come pick them up. I can't remember. I haven't been able to go to the last home game the past couple seasons. So,
Hell yeah. No, that's good. I didn't know that. That makes more sense. What you got when you guys said both makes much more sense than so. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
There's a Black Friday sale coming. There's gonna be a bunch of discounted Hummel merch, guys. We're moving to Adidas. That was one of the questions on the list. Well, so we are moving to Adidas.
Yes.
Because that's what everyone in MLS Next Pro has.
Correct.
So we don't know all the details of that. We don't know what things are going to look like. We don't know anything. But I'm just putting it out there. If you want Hummel shit, and I got to get a bunch of jerseys from this year because I only bought the Pride jersey. I haven't bought any other ones. This is going to be probably the best time when they have the most stock and stuff's discounted.
Yep.
Black Friday.
There's a quick Next Pro hit on. There's a press release that said conference and divisional alignment news is going to come soon. So we're going to find out who our in-division opponents are going to be.
Matt,
So that's a bit of like new information because they only did Western Conference and Eastern Conference the past couple of years. So adding divisional alignment means that they're planning on breaking it up further, which also means we don't necessarily know how like playoffs are going to work.
Are you positive they only did conference?
Yes.
Because I looked through, they have a section on their website about divisional alignment in the rules.
Yeah, because we're in a league now that, and I don't know if you know this or not, that plans ahead.
These were from 2023.
There was no divisions in Next
I'm just
Pro
telling you,
last year.
they had it listed there as a thing.
Yeah, I'm looking at this past season. It's just East and West.
Cool.
Yeah.
So like
they may have intended to do it, or they may have updated it as soon as the season got over. My guess is they intended to do it and then they didn't do it. They probably just had it in there as the future thing.
I mean, so what's going to be interesting is we don't know how. Number one, we don't know how scheduling is going to work yet. Like, I don't think they've not done cross conference yet. I have heard that like we might get one West Coast road trip and like one only, and that's it.
Irvine Great Park, please.
Oh my God, please! LA Galaxy 2 in Irvine Great Park would just set a lot of people off correctly,
You
but
and
would
I.
still be incredibly fun because we get to go back to Great Park. But like, do we play most of our games in division and then some out of the division in conference, and then like maybe one on the West Coast or something, and then one West Coast team at home? I don't know. Is the division thing just we play everyone in the East, say twice, home and away, and then your division just like helps sort for playoffs or help sort for seeding? Like, we don't know. We have no idea yet. That'll be something to watch out for, and it'll be something fun to talk about. So, but more importantly, we've heard that our division will be Fort Lauderdale, Carolina Core, which is in High Point, North Carolina, Crown Legacy, which will play at the Stumplex
Shout
in
out.
Matthews, North Carolina.
No way.
Just outside of Charlotte.
Yeah, I have to go there.
Yeah. Huntsville City, us, Orlando City B, which plays just south of Orlando, Atlanta United 2, which plays in Kennesaw, and then maybe FC Cincinnati 2. Maybe not. Maybe not. So the most important part about any of that is that's a lot of close road trips, guys.
I was getting ready to say, dude,
we're about to be burning some road miles.
About to be back in the MPSL.
you ever been to High Point?
Yes.
Yeah, love that
I
place.
No,
have.
I've never climbed there. No.
My God, stop. That is a very niche. If you don't listen to this podcast in the state of Tennessee or in Chattanooga in general, you won't understand. But
Okay. I have a bone to pick with Carolina Core, and
Oh, let's go.
here's why. We haven't even started season yet. I already have a bone to pick, and I'm gonna go ahead and just.
Well, we're looking for a rival, so tell us why.
For anyone who doesn't know, I lived in North Carolina. I lived 30 minutes from High Point, in a rinky-dink town called Elon. It was tiny. It was a college town.
Was it your low point?
High Point.
Boo, Matthew.
Yeah, that was.
Keep going, Ellie.
60.
High Point has a university there. None of us at our college liked the university, but what I really disliked most about living in North Carolina is there was no access to soccer that wasn't Charlotte 2 hours away or Asheville 2 hours away. Like, everything was like 2 hours away from my university, so I couldn't go to soccer things. Like, I was stranded. And I move away from North Carolina, and all of a sudden a team shows up 30 minutes from my university. I'm livid. I'm literally livid. I want to fight someone really, really bad, and Carolina Core has officially become my rival. Like, I don't even care
Yes.
about the rest.
That's so personal. It's hurting.
I'm just so upset because 2 years out of college, and now a team pops up just out of the blue.
I love it. First of all, I'm glad they didn't because we got you and they didn't. But, because you moved back here and you didn't stay up there. But hell yeah. I love this, and I will take all submissions for reasons we should be rivals. Jay, it is 2:00. My thought was let's skip I had a big diatribe on rule, or a big section of rules here, but we can save that for another podcast. Talk about all the weird MLS rules, good and bad, whatever else, and just skip to some listener questions. How about that?
I'm with it. We do need to drop the next pro news. I like that section. Talking about next pro news, following them on Twitter.
Oh yeah. No, we'll get
Why'd
there.
you look at me like I just murdered your family, man?
I hadn't-
Holy shit.
They're in there. They're in the
I
mailbag.
hadn't scrolled down far enough. I was like, "What news? What news did I miss?" Oh yeah, the Twitter account that I still don't know. Well, anyway, I'll be mean to them when we get there.
X account.
Next Pro mailbag. Lee asks, "I don't remember seeing any MLS Next Pro teams in the U.S. Open Cup. Are we still eligible because of our independence?"
Great
Yes.
question.
Yes.
Great question.
Yes.
Fucking great question.
Yeah.
Yes, we are, because we are an independent team. You didn't see any in the Open Cup, as you said, because they were not independent teams. Teams that have the same ownership group or are considered reserve teams, I can't remember the exact thing, but are not allowed to both compete. They had that problem in the USL. They had that problem in the MPSL with the Cosmos at a certain point. So they made some rules, and basically none of those two teams are eligible. We're independent. Fuck yeah.
Yeah. And Rochester, when they were still in the league, that one season, they played in the Open Cup. And they were scheduled to be in the Open Cup last year before they
No.
had to drop.
Colton Qureshi asks, what's the difference in level of play you're expecting? Do you anticipate needing to strengthen significantly to compete? So that is a question we essentially answered earlier. I am going to just go a tiny bit deeper and say this will be a better league than NISA.
Yeah.
At the top end.
Yeah, for sure.
The bottom end may be very similar or even worse than the average NISA team.
I mean, I think if you're looking at like Gold Star and Savannah, Club de Leon, like that kind of level, then I think the bottom end of Next Pro will still be better than that. But like, we really don't know. I mean, I think you have to look at less about us who are, three idiots and Ellie, and really look at like how is CFC handling it. So like we have at this point 9. Is it 9 players? Is it 9? I think it's 9 players back. A very good core of starters, really. And so like that part makes sense. You bring a lot of starters back, right? The question is going to be, what's the level and the pedigree of player that comes in next? Are we happy with our starters and we're looking for a lot of backups to fill in some gaps? And obviously we need another 9 and a 7 and a right back. But are we looking to really like have this be the floor, and then we're taking a few chances on some young kids that might really develop into something? Are we bringing in some top level talent, especially from maybe a foreign country or just international player in general? Like those are the things to watch out for that I think will give us a better handle on what we're trying to do with whatever budget we have and the like. And then we'll just find out if it works or not starting in March.
Something Davis said, I think it was during the panel at the announcement thing, was that he and Alton and Rod are extremely competitive, and we're not going into MLS to be a punching bag. We're going in to compete and try to win. Does that mean we're going to win it all in year one? Of course not. It might mean that, but there's no guarantees there of any kind. But we're not going in there, if you read between the lines of a very clear statement, is we're going to do what's necessary to be competitive. And so what that means, I don't quite have the answer to, but that's a good sign.
It's also an evolving league. Like it's year 3.
Yes.
So like it's going to be different next year than it was this year. And teams might, I don't know, choose their rosters, especially like they're at least 11. They're between 11 and 24 pros, like but that range of player. They might, decide to beef that up a little bit differently, partly based on, who are the talented academy kids that they need to get minutes for because they've got first team potential, partly for just how the market is playing. Like we don't know what these two teams are paying for players. We don't know how much they want to compete with the championship, for example. Like we're gonna learn a lot of things these next couple of years, and the league's gonna be a lot different than it was, or in say 2026 than it was last year.
What does this mean for our academy?
I was wondering about that.
Eyeballs, in my opinion, it's eyeballs.
So a certain team appeared in the greater Chattanooga market in 2018 and told everyone, we're the real pro academy now. We're connected to a higher organization, blah, 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 blah. Guess who's connected to the bigger soccer organization now? Guess who's connected to, and I don't mean directly like we're somebody's 2 team, but like the MLS name now maybe, we have heard nothing official, but I would assume that to follow, we're going to hear that some of the teams are going to play in MLS Next, which is not MLS Next Pro, MLS Next, which is the academy
MLS
version.
Academy League.
You're going to see maybe that, at least branding-wise, and I'm not talking about branding how it looks, but like branding as far as the name, logos aside, go up. That's my supposition. We should have somebody on the podcast to talk about what it really means.
I think Rod thinks it's a game changer for not only the club, but the academy.
He said so very clearly.
And I truly believe that good players, like we've had players from the CFC Academy like move on to really good things. I mean, Noah Cobb's a great example of that. He's getting minutes for Atlanta United 2 and Atlanta United proper this season, right? That's a CFC Academy, former CFC Academy player. We've seen other players like come through and move on, and I think what it'll do is it'll put some more eyeballs on our academy in general, which is a good thing. We want players to have eyeballs on them. We want them to
absolutely
have a chance to move on. This isn't like United States is a little bit weird, right? You don't really sign. Like there are academy contracts that are like amateur contracts. It's not like in Europe where they're kind of like quasi-amateur, quasi-pro, but it locks you down for a few years to protect the asset. Like that's not really how it works here. But the best thing that could possibly happen is that all the eyes of not just, by the way, MLS clubs or other independent Next Pro clubs, but even like USL Championship clubs and foreign clubs, like all the extra eyeballs on our academy is a good thing. And I very much believe that we'll have some teams in MLS next. Maybe not a ton yet. I mean, they've got tons of age groups, right? I don't know if we get a ton to start, but I do bet we get a few. And I would not want to be competing with us in this market long term. Put it that way.
Jay, do you know the answer to the question, why is Next Pro News a must follow on Twitter?
I think, Matt, what's your take on that, actually? I was interested in...
Actually, so legitimately for the CFC fan base, I think it is a must follow on Twitter.
I would agree.
Because they're the only damn ones that are like actually aggregating all of the news related to Next Pro.
So I wanted Matt to go on that because while I see this and I read everything.
By the way, that's a joke question that I'm still including because that's who I am.
Here's the thing. News aggregators are really important for two ways, in my opinion, on Twitter. Now, I don't use Twitter anymore, so I will not be following you. Sorry, Next Pro News. I'll hear about it from Matthew, I'm sure, if you do something important. But in the NFL, or in this case, in MLS Next Pro, when you have these outliers where everyone is reporting all the time so you can't keep up, or nobody is reporting anything, so you really need like somebody to like dredge down and catch the little pieces, that news aggregator, which they appear to be, very important, very good. Hell yeah, shout out. I know I made fun of you, but like, hell yeah, thank you for doing that. In the middle, sometimes if there's like some attention on a league and enough attention, you'll have like a couple big journalists that you can just follow them and you get all the news. But these news aggregators become very important if you want to like keep up at a glance. So thank you for doing that, MLS Next Pro News. Shout out, like, we appreciate that, and thank you because we have some more questions from them.
I know that like things feel more professional, like all and around what we're doing now because of the name and the branding, et cetera, et cetera. But like, not to shit on anybody from like the NISA realm, but the news, it wasn't the same. Like you didn't know what the fuck was real anyways. So what were you going to report on? A bunch of BS most of the time, and nothing was ever like really like. I never really felt like I got overwhelmingly good news. It was always just like, why is this bad, or why is this team not existing anymore, blah blah blah. So it's nice to see that.
Usually lack of money.
Yeah, well, yes, of course, that would be the answer to this. But it's nice to see some like, you know, an uptick in positivity and like real professional news and shit that I actually want to read and care about.
Hell yeah, I'm gonna somehow hold my tongue and not slander protagonist because I want to. Next Pro News. This is questions from Next Pro News. Thoughts on a future D2 league inside Next Pro? Matthew, I want you to wait on this. Ellie and Jay. So Charles said something in the Chattanooga Town Hall. He's also said it in a different interview as well.
In Jacksonville at their announcement.
And so basically he said, like, look, long term, we'd love to have basically like 50, 60, 70 teams, whatever the number is. I can't remember, I think it was 50 or 60, he said. And then be able to have a D2 and a D3 league. Mm-hmm. So you could have some of the teams that want to be less expensive and less competitive. Maybe some of your D2 team, not D2, excuse me, your two teams, your Atlanta United's twos, who are always going to be terrible in the bottom of D3, and let some of your more ambitious independent and two teams play in D2. Thoughts and reactions on that, and where would we might fall in that?
You go first.
Will it include promotion relegation? I don't know. I mean, I guess
that is one of the questions for sure. I would be willing to bet a lot of money, not in any substantive way.
Yeah, his interview with the podcast folks in Jacksonville, the Armada people, basically said because they point blank asked him about promotion relegation in a D2 D3 thing, and he basically said. Didn't really actually say anything, to be honest. Like, I was trying to like find words for it. It does not sound like there will be promotion and relegation. It does sound like there might be a capacity to move, though.
It'll be FOMO motion, kind of like we have now, most likely.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's just like basically, oh shit, like we got, you know, if you're an MLS2 team, for example, it's like, oh, you know, we got some really good kids. We need to step up the level because they're a step beyond this other crop of kids. Like, we want to play in D2 this year. And somehow that will all like kind of shake itself out. I wouldn't be surprised if independent clubs could just like We want to be D2. And if you meet the requirements in the PLS and all that bullshit, like, let's just go be D2. Right? I wouldn't be surprised if that's what we chose if the moment comes.
Jay?
What I'm going to say is, like, I will remove promotion and relegation from my answer because it is so polarizing and it immediately drives this giant dividing line. You all know where I stand on that. Galen has never had to ask what is Jay's opinion
on promotion and relegation.
Yeah,
hell yeah! Shout out Galen.
But I guess like if those are promising and real ambitions and real thoughts, then I'm more excited than to hear them say something else than a possible breakup of D2 and D3 within MLS Next Pro or whatever the rebranding that must happen, especially from a graphic design.
Just relogoing. MLS Next Pro is a bad name, but we've kind of become accustomed to it. By the way, so is the Championship. League 1 and League 2 are horseshit names. So like,
fuck the English.
So like, pick whatever name you want. I don't care, but like, do a logo that doesn't suck giant donkey balls.
Yeah. I wasn't gonna say that, but
I've held my tongue till now.
That's what I mean. But just knowing that those conversations and those thoughts are real, that's what is just makes me more excited for the future. I just don't want to join what it is now at the level of infancy that it is, and I don't want it to like plateau and just be like one continuous consistent thing because the sport has so far to go in this country. I need to see us and the league that we're in making moves to at least improve it and and get away from the good old 2-team league that's one below. I want it to turn into a pyramid with taking what I took out of this conversation already. In a way,
I think what we'll see is similar to what USL has been. USL's been saying they're going to do pro rel, and they might do it,
right?
But they've been saying they're going to do it. But they have a form of it, which is like when a team is not doing well financially, they're able to FOMO down.
Yep.
And when they're doing well and they want to go up, I mean, it appears they're going to let some teams up after this year. So like, or that's the rumors at least. So I think that it will probably just be an informal thing where they'll let teams go up or down. There might be expansion fees involved, whatever else. I hope there's some competitive and sporting merit. It'd be really cool. They're never going to include big MLS in this, but like it'd be really cool if there was promotion relegation, but I'm not counting on that. I would just love to, as Jay said, be in a league that has grown in 5 years or 10 years or however long it takes into a league that in D2, as an example, we have more teams that give a shit and more teams that like want to do it big, just like we do.
Yep.
And I want to be not around all 2 teams, and I'm willing to put up with all 2 teams for a while. But if in 5 years there's 7 independent teams and 32 teams, like I'm going to be pretty disappointed.
I think that's a theme that I think
that's fair.
I think the general that would be the general consensus of our fan base if I had to get the temperature of how we feel on that. I think for us to be in something sustainable and reliable and something that is growing and changing and turns into that thing you just explained. I think I know like me and my friends, like that's exactly what we all think when we have these conversations. So
I will say, I do kind of hope that those 2 teams stick around for just a little while because that name recognition I think is going to be pretty important here at the beginning for everyone.
Agreed.
And so I think if we just like hit the league and then all of a sudden we have a D2, D3 and we lose those like Atlanta United, those like Columbus, like we lose those names, then I think I think we're getting eyes with this whole MLS, like it's got that big name, like we've got big names attached to it and that gets eyes, right? That's what we're talking about with that academy, with everything, right? I think if we just all of a sudden lose that, I think we're going to lose those eyes again, and it's going to be exactly where we first started off, right? And I think that it'd be great for the first like 2-3 years that we keep those teams in so that we can potentially expand, right? Expand fan base, expand the community, bring more people in, say, look at how cool this thing is, and then they can fade out. And we can say, but look how cool it still is. Like we've lost those teams, but we haven't lost any of this stuff. This is still cool, even without those names. But I think that we need those names for a few years before we can take them out. And I think that could potentially, that can be kind of tricky territory there.
I don't think we have anything to worry about on that front. Like I just don't think they might have an influx of independent teams the next few years, but like
most of these teams are way too lazy to actually fully do the rebrand.
It'll take a while to get to the point where they want to like think about splitting. Like we've got a few years to go.
Plus, we're always going to have Nashville too.
Hey, and-
Rocket City United.
Rocket City United.
Yeah, but Ellie, that's a really good point. I do slightly concur with that statement of like you are getting that name recognition for like the more in between and it's summer and I need something to do kind of soccer fan sees that, then you can attract that. But what I think is cool is like what I don't see is multiple rebrands happening. I do see a good amount of rebrands happening, but I see basically in my head what I would think would be awesome is like within the divisional breakup whatever that looks like and whenever it happens, if those two teams still do exist within their own ecosystem somewhere. Whether that's like what Next becomes and not Next Pro, like Next Pro becomes like the two divisions below that are more independent, like marketed and stuff, and then MLS Next becomes the two-team system for. That means it would be literal children, but I think that it's more of a growth and less of like a we're going to lose teams. I feel like there's going to be more teams that are going to be closer to the same mindset as us, instead of like kind of getting rid of other two teams. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Okay, so I have a question that I'm going to modify a little bit. Just for fun, if you had to pick a NISA or NPSL team, I'm going to say local rival. You can pick somebody else, I guess, if you really want to, but I'm going to suggest it should be a local rival. Who would you want it to be to join MLS Next Pro? They don't have to be truly local, because I'm not going to pick an actual local one, but I think it'd be cooler if they were local.
Who do I want to join?
Like a previous,
for,
like
the
a
Bants?
previous NPSL team. That's a good question.
They could be a current. You can use whatever criteria you want. I would be pushing towards somebody that's a current NISA team, or just if there's an NPSL team you'd like to join MLS Next Pro. I'll go first.
Okay,
I'll go first.
I feel like we might have the same answer.
I'm going to violate my own rules saying local, and I'm going to say the Michigan Stars.
Interesting.
That was gonna be mine.
That's not mine at all.
Keep them far, far, far away from the league I'm in, but also I want to play them.
So they're our one true rival, and I hate them so much. But also, like, for it to matter, you kind of have to have your rivals around, and they're the only team. Like, I want his antics, like, not like affecting. So right now, if he does something dumb, it affects the stability of. Or I'm sorry, not right now. 2 weeks ago, if he did something dumb, he affected greatly the league that we were in. Now, if he does something dumb, it's hilarious, and I just want it to be the Michigan Stars.
They cannot join the league we're in. Number one, because no one will ever let him in. But like, I hope they somehow survive as an entity doing something somewhere, and we get them in the Open Cup to like have our one true rival in the Open Cup. I think that would be great.
So that we can lose in another knockout tournament.
So you're okay. So I didn't understand your question at first. So you're wanting us to bring a rival,
whoever you want.
No, whoever you want.
Just another team.
Can be anybody.
Like
you want.
I think I saw Smo on Twitter respond to this question, and he said Savannah.
That is the right answer.
Which like is a great like another team driving
good road
distance,
trip,
whatever.
driving distance. That is actually the right move. But my heart says the Michigan Stars.
That's funny.
I think we should get Poku and Tennessee Tempo.
Tennessee Tiempo. I think it's Tiempo.
It's Tempo.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Okay.
What about you, Ellie?
I'm looking at what is it, Appalachian FC. I want the Golden Choco back.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I really want that Golden Choco back.
If we could snap our fingers and make because this is a snap. This is not a reality question where you go, oh, they play at a college and whatever else. No. Like this is a snap your fingers and make them a pro team. This is
pure vibes.
I love the Appalachian FC.
Possibly one of my favorite away games of all time.
Hell yeah,
and it was a good match.
It was.
It came down to like the wire.
Trial is number 2.
Yep.
I wasn't
Trial is
around.
number 2.
I wasn't around for that, and I'm so
Shout out Stephen
upset that I
McDonald.
wasn't. Like, I want Appalachian FC. I won a game at Appalachian FC so badly. Like,
It was fun.
It's funny because my answer, I'm torn, but I know what I'm going to choose. But the one that I almost chose would have maybe have been Asheville, the Keg.
Keg was good.
That was a fun road
That was
trip
good.
rivalry. Drive through the mountains, see some beautiful shit, go to a soccer game, go drink beer, and then come back. It was great. But I think my selection would be to completely revive, unless they're still playing or whatever. But I kind of would want to bring the Jesters with us.
Hell yeah.
Number one, we needed New Orleans trip.
Yes.
And no USL Championship. You cannot have them. I am officially claiming New Orleans as one of ours, purely for the road trip vibes,
Dude. And I always love.
And I also
having
want to
them.
make a fool out of Kenny Farrell again.
Oh man, yeah, I have some really good footage of this project that I've been putting off and working on forever of you dancing to some music and holding some like flare smoke in New Orleans. Yeah, you don't know about it. I know it's gonna be awesome when I show it to you.
MLS Next Pro News. That is an
I'm
excellent
pretty
fucking
sure-
question. Well done.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure I've not done that before.
I don't know. We're gonna find out.
I have. If you aren't doing the smoke, you are in the middle of smoke, and then like.
Oh, is that when the Jesters people ran under and like dropped a
smoke
smoke
they
bomb
did
on
do
us?
They
Underneath
did
the,
That's probably what it is.
Underneath the bleachers. It sounds right.
Yes.
Got a Zach Taylor question. Read it to me, Jay, if you got the doc up.
Oh, holy crap! I was scrolling to something. Okay, so okay.
What did you delete? Oh, you deleted something that moved my page. Okay.
I added something in there because we were talking about it, so we should just talk about it.
Okay, so Jay, then you
come back
can
to
ask
Zach.
the Zach Taylor question next.
Okay.
Matthew, ask your question.
We were just talking about like our one true rival, the Michigan Stars, or like someone like Savannah, who's a close, nice road trip, whatever.
They would have to matter to be a rival.
People, correct. People are, I think, naturally pushing Huntsville City, aka Rocket City United, on us, or and like maybe Atlanta United too.
Maybe we should call
Maybe
them Rocket City United 2. I need something a little bit ruder because I feel like we're being a little bit too nice by giving them the ghost of Rocket. We could just call them the ghost of Rocket City United.
the ghost of U.S. Space Command. They don't make rockets anymore.
They don't make rockets anymore.
So, but like, I think people are going to try to push rivals on us because like
They
there's
are.
so many close road trips now, right? Which is great. And so like to anyone listening from Next Pro World or maybe for CFC folks, the correct and unequivocally correct answer to this question, who is our rival next year in MLS Next Pro? The answer is nobody. Nobody is our rival. Not Huntsville, which is an hour and 40 minutes away. Not Kennesaw, which is like another hour and 45 minutes away, if you don't die on I-75 in the process. Not Carolina Core, who's the only other independent team in the league. Not Crown Legacy playing at the Stumplex, although that would be personally fun for me.
And it can't be.
It's
it can't
nobody.
Be Jacksonville.
It's nobody.
Jacksonville doesn't exist. Call me in a year.
Sorry, I wanted to lob him with that. Continue, Matt.
Like it's just nobody, right? No one has earned.
Yeah, totally.
No one's earned the right to be called our rival.
Also, Michigan Stars were not our rival. You know how they became our rival?
Because
on the field,
Yeah.
animosity and shenanigans. When Marcus did the thing and they were dicks and we played them like 9 times, like
that's how you develop a rivalry. It's not this bullshit like let's call a cup because there are 2 teams in the same state. Like no, fuck that shit.
Off. Rivalries can look and look if a team wants to have a marketing rivalry where they go, which by the way, the Golden Chaco is a marketing rivalry. That is not a supporters cup. I could not care less about it. Do I want that road trip? Yes, but the actual like trophy doesn't matter to me. It's a front office trophy. Same with the keg.
Yeah,
Which was between 2
more
breweries.
of a friendly thing.
Does it mean I didn't like it? No, it's cool. It's not a supporters rivalry. We had a supporters rivalry with Detroit. We've had supporters rivalry with the Volunteer Shield. This is like, so is the club allowed to pick rivals to market with? Of course, they have to. Just don't pretend that the supporters, I'm separating fans and supporters here for a minute. Like, don't pretend like supporters have to care. And for all of you out there who are telling us like who we got to care about, we don't have to care about anybody. And I promise you, we won't care about anybody until we do.
Like
We will care about
the
them
moment
when we care about them,
Yeah.
but it has to be organic and it has to happen. And next year, there's no one in our league worth caring about. And until they prove me otherwise, the ghost of Huntsville United, I don't know what
have to like, in order to become our rival in my eyes, you have to make me hate you more than the Michigan Stars. That is the standard.
That's going to be a couple years for me.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a couple years, but that's how it's supposed to happen.
Agreed.
I already hate the Carolina Core. I'm
No,
sorry.
I love-
I'm sorry.
that.
I don't need any rivals. Like, I'm good. I hate them. They shouldn't exist.
I mean, listen, like if you give me the opportunity to burn a tree at the Sportsplex at Matthews at the Stumplex, like I'm gonna do it.
Let's burn one in the parking lot.
But like,
Wait. Was that a drug reference?
no, I mean like they had like the trees, like because it was Stumptown. I'm like,
Oh, okay.
Like I want to set a tree on fire, like it'd be fun. Like, but they're not a rival. Like,
Okay, yeah.
they're just a shitty Crown, and we fought a war to stop that.
Here's the thing. If we show up at Carolina Core, that was actually a decent joke. Yeah. If we show up in Carolina and there's some real animosity on the field, plus your animosity, maybe our rival will be the Carolina Core. It does check some boxes, right? Independent, all these other things, but it has to happen organically.
Well, the thing is the one thing that hasn't happened, and what you said, the scuffles and the things that made the Stars' rival
and all the 0-0s.
moments.
Yes.
Like we haven't had a single moment in this league. So
Except
what
Huntsville.
kind of
Except
moments?
Huntsville. We've played Huntsville. It's the only, and we
Yeah.
don't. And there was nothing out of that game that makes me.
Was it closed door?
No, that was this
No,
preseason.
it was a season ticket holder only game. Actually, there was one thing in that preseason game that gives me a little bit of like hope for a little bit of fire with Huntsville, and that's that Jack Collison is an absolute dumbass, the head coach of Huntsville City. That guy lost his shit in a preseason game because there were actual fans yelling at him for, like be doing what we do, right? That man lost his mind. That man lost his mind so bad that he took a midsummer sabbatical to go play for West Ham in the TST. Everyone needs a break, so I get it.
Yeah, Huntsville might end up being our rival rather. They won't be the rival until it happens on the field.
There needs to be moments. I can't.
But also,
stress that.
they're because everyone's trying to force Huntsville down our throats. It makes me more be like, fuck Huntsville. Who cares?
I'm not sure a 2-team will be able to earn it.
Yeah, maybe not.
Because one day it's going to be shirts don't fight each other, right? Like people do. And
well, I'm a lover, not a fighter, Matthew.
And given how Nashville and Huntsville operate, I'm sure we'll see, one guy that there's a little argy bargy or something. One guy's going to be in Nashville the following week. One guy's going to be dead on the Cumberland River. They're not going to be the same.
Matthew.
They're not going to be the same. Team year after year. They're going to probably fuck everybody off at the end of the season. So
hey, well, I have a question that I want to read from Zach.
give me more independent teams to fight.
I need to know the question, this answer, and what did I say? The question.
The question. You need another question.
Hey, how's it going? No. I want to know the answer to this question, Matt. Maybe you know, maybe we don't know yet, but this is an important piece. Is there any chance that the 2024 season ticket will get us MLS season pass on Apple TV?
No.
Okay.
You would have seen it already.
Yep.
Would have been really cool.
It's a no,
I was
Zach.
hoping.
Bad.
It didn't happen.
I was hoping.
It didn't happen this year in Next Pro. And it's not going to happen in the future. I'm not even sure MLS teams are getting it again. I think that was a 1-year thing.
Interesting.
Give me the next question.
Okay, so I like this
because
one.
this is a good one.
Does our club have a duty to push for reform now that we are in a stable position? Or is it just club over league and who cares about the rest?
It is always club over league. Who cares about the rest? There is, however, nuance to that. Meaning, when it comes to, in my opinion, when it comes to greater structural things, which include access to soccer, by the way, it is important that we remain true to our ethos, which is soccer is for everyone. We want to make Chattanooga better, and we hope for the world gets better through soccer, right? And that is an ethos that the club holds, that everyone should have access, that anybody that wants to start a team should have limited barriers. There's all of these things that as an ethos, I think we still believe in. However, more than anything, we have to fight for Chattanooga and Chattanooga's football club, and therefore that comes first, which is why joining MLS Next Pro is the best fit for us, and why we have to continue maybe staying silent might even be the right word. Ignoring issues that are bigger, grander issues. We've done fighting for independent soccer all over.
Yeah, all you fuckers quit before us.
Everybody already left independent soccer, quote unquote. We're going to continue to do our things as an independent team in MLS Next Pro, and we're going to continue to be a shining example of what independent soccer can be as a club. I don't believe we need to be out there. I also have a really strong predisposition against statements for statement's sake. Follow us and see what we do. Do as we do. Have a community-based club that people build their lives around, that makes the community a genuinely better place, that gives to the city, not takes from the city, that represents the city in a unique and tangible and authentic way. Have a team that are members of your community, not just people that get flown in for a couple months. Do what we do, not what we say. Who cares what we say for the most part? Within bounds, do what we do. We will continue to do what we do no matter what our platform is. And I don't know that Zach's suggesting this, but I don't want to see us within MLS being we stand for independent soccer when we we joined on some level the dark side.
Yeah.
What we did though, and what we continue to do is be the club that we say we want to be the club that is the best club for Chattanooga, and everyone should do what's best for them. If the PDL is better for you, if USL League One is best for you, if NISA is best for you, RIP, if MLS is best for you, whatever is the UPSL, did I say the UPSL, the NPSL, all of these other leagues, whoever is best for you, do that. Do what is best for you and your community, but be what Chattanooga Football Club is and what Chattanooga Football Club strives to be in their community as a football club. And fuck the rest.
Ellie?
Is that too strong?
No, I got lost somewhere in there. Sorry.
I would agree.
I'll just add this for Zach.
He gets a lot of love here now.
Real reform in American soccer, I don't think is going to happen at any level that's truly meaningful until the whole thing comes together.
Mm-hmm.
I think
you're saying is
like I think USL should push for promotion and relegation. I think that'd be a good thing. The reason why I think that's going to be a good thing is when MLS acquires USL, like I want a promotion and relegation system in place that like can force like longer term change. Like it needs to succeed so that you can convince the MLS owners to open up their own system and open up their possibility of risk, but also open up their possibility of even bigger rewards. But none of that happens without the system coming together. If we're still this fragmented beast of soccer, then like everyone's just trying to survive. So, like what can we advocate for? Well, help other independent teams join the league and get to a place where we can have D2, D3 split and try to encourage teams to help kind of figure those things out. We can still be a club that when an amateur club calls us for advice, we can answer the phone, answer the email, and help them get sorted. Hey, we use this provider for something. Hey, we've tried that before. It didn't really work. Here's what worked in our market. Mm-hmm. Like we can still do all those things we've done for years, for a decade and a half now, right? How many pro rel statements has Chattanooga Football Club put out in our NISA membership?
Zero.
None.
We did the thing in 2017. We made it clear where we stood.
And by the way, Alton gave an interview to the supporter shareholders earlier this year, and he was asked directly about someone was trying to break some news about MLS Next Pro on him or whatever, and he dodged that pretty easily.
Neo in the Matrix.
But he said, we absolutely value promotion and relegation. However, it's meaningless unless it's all unless everyone's a part of it.
Yeah.
It's meaningless if USL does it, even though I think structurally it will help them a little bit and ultimately help American soccer when it comes together. But the whole thing has to come together at some point.
Rapid-ish fire. Let's aim to be as rapid as we can with these. Do we have the budget to actually compete in MLS Next Pro? What's your gut say?
Your guess is as good as mine, but yes. If we don't, we will.
If Matt doesn't know, then I don't know.
My gut is that if we don't, we will.
I think we're better off than the Rochester team was.
Damn.
That's because Jamie Vardy's a poor.
Jeez.
I'm going back to the same thing I said earlier about Davis saying, me, Rod, and Alton, and I'm paraphrasing, are very competitive. We're going to this league. We're not trying to run a club that is just middle of the road. We're trying to win. So I'm going to hope that means that we are set up to do it. And if we're not, that we will become so. How do we think the Rod cess will translate with the added athleticism in Next Pro?
Well, he talked about on this podcast about adjusting the player profile of certain positions and maybe as a whole. I think athleticism will never be the defining factor for Rod. He wants technical players. He wants to be able to put the ball on the ground and play. I do think he will start to prioritize and separate using athleticism. If you got two players and they both can play, he's probably going to go for the more athletic player.
This is I think
if all other things are equal.
There's a false dichotomy here, in my opinion. Better players in MLS are better athletes and just as technical or more technical, usually more technical than players in NISA. I'm not talking about MLS Next Pro. I'm talking about MLS. If you give Rod access to the international market and to better players, we're going to get more athletic.
as a natural byproduct.
I know he said we're changing the profile a little bit and this, that, and the other. We're just going to get better players is the answer to that. We're not suddenly going to see some dude who can run a 4-3 and can only run a 4-3 and he's going to run over the top and Rod's going to have him kick it long every time. That is not how Rod plays. That's for the USL Championship, and they can play like that. We're going to play, and we're going to have better players than we had before, and that's how we're going to get more athletic, and that's what athleticism is going to have.
I agree. Also, he said USL Championship, because if he said League One, it would be that you kicked it to the opposing player by accident, and they ran around it down and scored.
How shitty are our kits going to be? What is the gut feeling?
Oh, God, and I guess that's being a direct Adidas reference, because now we're having to go. I will say, if we're continuing to keep our stuff independent, as we say, I trust Rustand and the boys over there now at Whiteboard, who he's working with, and I believe they'll be working on this. I fully trust them when it comes to making something that is still going to be unique. I think maybe some other independent clubs are going to feel this way, but a lot of the more professionally linked clubs are going to have an MLS ecosystem within them that breaks down the positions of you do marketing, you do this, and you do that. Like, we still have our own identity in that. And I see the people that are looking at what the design is gonna feel like care about what it makes us look like.
I am under no illusion that we are going to have the bespoke kits that we've had for
Big
the last
word.
10 years or so.
That was a great word,
right? Like I'm under no illusions there. I do think we will try to find a way to make what we choose to do and try to push the envelope where we can.
Yes.
And we don't know what the process is going to look like, right? That it's a whole different animal now, and we'll see.
Yeah, I just don't think
I wouldn't be surprised if year one is relatively
simple,
relatively chill.
Yeah.
And then you see some stuff in year two, assuming that we're still with Adidas. This is the last year. 2024 is the last year of like a mandatory Adidas thing, right? So, like, do we switch to someone else? Do we sign a long-term contract? Like, these are things that we do not know yet.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say.
I just don't think there will be another club, maybe in the U.S., that Adidas has worked with on their jersey, where the guy doing the design was a literal founder of the club.
Yeah, it's not likely.
Yeah. So I just think that like, if I don't like Adidas, and especially I don't like the MLS jerseys. So this is me saying all of this in great hopes that we will shine.
It just hinges on, is Paul
still
still involved with, how involved rather is he with jerseys?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I agree with you. I'm terrified they're going to be terrible. I think they're going to end up just okay. And then we'll see the following year.
Matt's so excited for them to be gold.
Yeah, he is.
Honestly, that could be one of the, if you get relatively simple jerseys year after year, one of the best things you can possibly do is not even just introduce a third jersey, just introduce a color.
Yeah.
Like, if you're doing the navies and the whites or whatever, which is fine and good, dropping even a primary of gold like we did in 2016, like is probably the right call to introduce something
new,
different.
Yeah.
And to also, as a callback to I wouldn't be surprised I wouldn't be surprised if in 2026 we do a 10 years gone kit and it's a home gold.
Well, on that terrifying idea,
I would buy that.
Does this open up?
I probably would too now.
Does this open up new opportunities for friendlies?
That's a big question I have too. I see us as like we're pretty connected already. Like, our friendlies haven't been, we do like to help and work with other independent clubs. So we will play down sometimes to people.
God, I hope not again.
Yeah, but like our friendlies that we played, I mean, let's say Atlanta United, Birmingham, Memphis. I'm quoting teams from like the past 2 years, but also from years past. We've had a decent like number of pretty good teams to play friendlies against.
I think the preseason, it doesn't really change a lot in preseason for us, honestly.
Yeah.
I think I think we'll try to play a couple USL Championship teams. We'll try to play an MLS team. We'll try to play, you might see us play. It was Beeman last year. I think they're Tennessee Tempo now. Poku's team. We probably will play them again. I wouldn't be surprised too. If Nisa still exists, I would not be shocked to play like Savannah or somebody.
Yeah. I guess that question is like,
it's maybe a summer friendly type deal. I do think we want to do an international friendly again. It's been a while since we've done one.
yeah, that's where I was going to reach.
I don't necessarily think it's a next pro being beneficial thing on that front.
I disagree.
Oh, okay.
I think there's a chance that we've never had before where we could partner with, as an example, Atlanta United, or we could partner with Nashville, or we could partner with Charlotte. If a bigger team, and I don't mean like a Man United type team, but like if a team from a first division comes in
Real
somewhere.
Sociedad.
Sure. Yeah, honestly.
As opposed to Real Sociedad.
Remember when we brought...
Good Lord.
Remember when we brought in Real Betis?
Yes.
If we had been partnered with an MLS team, like partnered in the same organization with more contacts and whatever else, they could have played a friendly against Atlanta United instead of DC United and us and had less travel, as an example. I'm not saying it's for sure going to happen, but I think we now have more tools at our disposal and connections there. This is me out of thin air, but I'm just thinking we can partner with and be part of some of these tours, because these teams come in and they play MLS teams on these tours, and we will be, unlike almost any other team, and unlike currently any other team in MLS Next Pro, and unlike almost any other team in the lower divisions, both connected and with a fan base.
One thing that'll be interesting is if we will have any involvement in the MLS Next Pro Invitational, which took place in, I think, Vancouver 2, Colorado Rapids 2, and Real Monarchs played in with Hoffenheim, like U21s. I think Crystal Palace U21s were in there. It's just a way, like, couple like U21 teams came over from Europe to play a couple of games. Like, does Next Pro like kind of focus that on the independent teams? I would if I were them, but I'm also selfish because I want that. I also wouldn't be shocked if no, I would be shocked actually, but like MLS and Liga MX do a Leagues Cup, right? That stupid month-long tournament.
I was about to say,
that's purely like nakedly for marketing dollars and fun. Do they like? Is there some sort of Next Pro equivalent of that? I don't know. Is there some sort of tie-in there? I don't know. But like, that's something to watch out for in the future. If there's anything kind of related to a midsummer or late summer type tournament or invitational or a series of meaningless friendlies or whatever it is, like, that'll be something to watch for.
Send it right there.
Okay. I think the answer is yes to that question. That was a very...
Maybe it was, but I think like there's some nuance there that people know. But I know I'm saying end it right there. I think this is a good place to wrap up the podcast.
Sure.
So thank you guys for joining. Thanks everybody for hanging out.
Thanks Ellie for first
double
time.
Thanks Ellie.
I guess their second time now. Because
2 episodes in a row. Depends which one's getting released first. But thank you, listeners, viewers, for listening. Please, if you're not following us on the YouTubes, if you do like it and you do check it out, throw a thumbs up in there. You can see Jay's beautiful face. It's a good place to be. Thanks everybody for listening. Peace.
Peace.